All right, here we go. Number 1. So we're going to graph. When we have to graph something, what do we have to do? Get y by itself. There you go. So on the very first one, what do we have to do to that guy to get y by itself? Subtract the x. There you go. All right, so we've got y is greater than or equal to negative x plus 4. All right, so when we graph it, we're going to go up 4. Slope is negative 1, so we're going to go down 1 and right 1 all the way across. And then we can go the other way. We can go up and right. All right, what do we know about this inequality? If it's greater than or equal to, does that mean that this gets a solid line or a dotted line? Solid line, there you go. So that's nothing new. We've done that before. And we've done this before. If it says greater than, that means we need a shade. So where do the y's get greater than? To the top of that line or to the bottom of that line? To the top. So everything above that line. Don't shade it too dark now because we got another one we got to do. Nothing's new. That's the same thing we've been doing. The new part comes in where we're going to graph the second one on that same line. So if I'm going to graph, I have to get y by itself. So I'm going to subtract 2x. So that negative y is greater than negative 2x plus 2. What did I do? All right, how do I get rid of that negative? You divide by negative 1. And somebody already said it. What happens when you divide by a negative? Flips the sign. There you go. So it's not greater than anymore. It's going to be less than. And that'll be a positive 2x and a negative 2. All right, then we're going to graph it. We're going to go down 2. Unless you're playing with something up there, I don't know. All right, then we're going to go up 2 and right 1. And then we can go the other way. We can go down 2 and left 1. All right, what about this guy? Does he get a dotted line or a solid line? Dotted, there you go. All right, and then where does he shade? Up above the line or below the line? Below. So everything below this red line. Okay, now here's the deal. You got 2 different kind of graphs that we learned. We learned like y equals x plus 4, and now we just learned y greater than x plus 4 or less than x plus 4, right? So what's the only difference between these equations? The equal and the greater than and the less than, right? So if you got an equal sign, you're worried about where the lines cross. Remember, there were 3 different kinds of graphs. There was one where they crossed. What do we call it if they crossed? Consistent, independent, consistent, dependent, or inconsistent? Consistent and independent. There you go. What about if they turned out to be the same line? What do we call it? Consistent, dependent, and if they were parallel? Inconsistent, right? But this is different. This one, I'm only worried about where the shading crosses. So on this graph, on number 1, do you see the part where the blue shading and the red shading crosses up here?
Yes.
Yep, it's right here. That's what you're going to shade really, really dark. So you're going to shade that part really dark. Because if it has a less than or a greater than, you're concerned about where the shading crosses. Kind of, sort of. All right, let's flip over and let's do number 5, and then we'll do study guides for the rest of the class. Let's flip over and do number 5. Number 5, number 5. All right, here we go. So in order to graph it, what has to happen first? Get y by itself. There you go. All right, so you try solving those real quickly and see if you can get y by itself. Now that first one's going to be a little different, so don't freak out. Okay, so did you get this crazy fraction right here for the first one? The 1/2? Okay, that's okay. How do we graph 1/2? 1/2, if you have half of a dollar, what numbers are those between to graph that?
0.
Between 0 and 1. So you just graph it between 0 and 1 right here. And then you just have to be careful because I'm going to go up 3, but when you go up 3, it's going to stay in the middle each time. So it's going to go 1, 2, 3 in the middle, and then over 2, and it's still going to be in the middle. Still going to be halfway. If you do it again, it's still going to be in the middle every single time. Are y'all okay with that? Yes, no, maybe? There will be one like that. All right, we can go down 3, but it's still going to be in the middle. And that one gets a solid line. All right, how's that one shade? Above the line or below the line? Above. Very good. All right, and let's graph the other one. All right, and when you graph them and you shade them and all that good stuff, the only thing you're worried about is where the shading crosses, which is in this section right here. So you just shade that part really, really dark. Now, okay? Okay. All right, all we're going to do for the rest of the class period make sure that our homework is turned in. Make sure that you've signed up for the ACT prep class on Saturday. It's free, guys, okay? You're not going to have very many things that are free. So sign up for it. Take advantage of it, okay? And then we're on study guides. We're only doing certain problems. So let's flip to our study guide real quick, and let's go back over a few things. All right, here we go. First three. What's the first three? What do I have to do? What are the directions? Tell me. Graph it. And when you graph it, what has to happen? Y by itself, Romero. Very good. Hopefully you're making some notes for yourself, okay? Because we're probably not going to have time to finish all these in class. All right? And then what's it look like if it's consistent and independent? What do those look like? Where they cross. Very good. Very good. That's where they cross. All right, what about consistent and dependent? What do those look like? Same line. There you go. And inconsistent, what did those look like? They were parallel. Very good. Very good. All right, 5 and 6. How do they want you to do 5 and 6? Substitution. And what has to happen in order for you to do substitution? This is what we were weak on our quiz last time. Get a variable by itself. There you go. Get any variable by itself. So I'm going to help you out and start you out on number 5, okay? Do you see a letter that would be really, really easy to get by itself? The X on the first one, right? So how would I get X by itself on that first one? Subtract the Y. Very good. Okay, so you would get X is equal to negative 7Y minus 21. And then you're going to plug that in where? Into the X of the other one. There you go. Right there into the X. Same thing on 6. All right, what about the next ones? The next ones, they want you to use elimination. How do you have to do elimination? We've done 1,000 of these, which is why we're only doing one of them. There you go. So you got to get the same letter and the same number. We've done 1,000 of those, so you should be good. Okay, 17. Let's go over 17 because there's going to be one just like this on your test, okay? So 17, you're going to have A, B, and C sections. Part A is going to ask you to define a variable. So what variables do you want to use on 17? R for what? Rosebush, okay? So it's going to be part A of your test right here. And then what's the other one you want to use? G for geranium. So you just defined a variable right there. You're done. That's part A. Y'all okay with that? All right, part B is going to ask you to set up your system. So set up a system. What would I write? Read through the sentence. Yeah, what would I, like actually, what would I write? Huh? So I would do the 10R first. Yeah, 10R plus what? 2G and then equals 50. One where you can write it backwards if you want to. That's just, most people are used to seeing it that way. All right, what's the next one? What will we write? 6R and 10G equals how much? 74. That's part B. And then part C on your test would be to solve it. So you would solve it. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? All right, we're not doing 18. All right, 20. We've done these for like 3 days now. 20, these top two already have two variables. So you only have to compare the bottom two, right? But you got to be real careful, guys, because even though the x's are already the same, you do not want to cancel those out. Because what is the top one missing? It's missing the z. So you need to get the z's to cancel out on that one, okay? Does that make sense? All right, we're not doing 23 or 24. You can mark those out. And then the bottom ones are what we just did. We're not solving, we're graphing, by the way. All right, so what do we have to do to these two guys first? Get y by itself. There you go. And since it has less thans and greater thans, what do we have to do once we graph them? We just did them. Since we have less thans and greater thans, what do we have to do once we graph them? We have to shade them. There you go. All right, everybody okay? All right, study guides on Google Classroom. You can put your earbuds in if you want to listen to some music. You can get your phone out and get that picture so you can check your answers. Make sure you've turned your homework in. And then let's do some study guides so we can make a really good first grade on our quarter. Yeah. Sorry. Yep, make sure your name's on it. Make sure your name's on it. Yes, Jenny. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and 9. It's on the board over there. It's on Google Classroom too when you look at that. Here, maybe I can make this. Let me just end this video and then you'll be able to see the whole thing.